Welcome to the Project Endure podcast, the place where we talk about life, endurance, persistence, perspective, and so much more. I'm Joe Rinaldi, and I'll be your host. Let's jump in. Before we get started, let me just say that we get it. Personal development can be hard, but you don't have to do it alone. Project Endure has been on a mission to create a supportive and inspiring community of people, all striving to be better together. Head down to the link in the show notes and join the Hard Things Club so that we can do hard things together. And if you're already a member, invite a friend and spread the love. Now, let's get to the episode. Welcome back to the Project Endure podcast, episode 37. We have myself, Joe Rinaldi, and we have a very, very special guest out in St. Louis, Sam Okunola. Sam, did I get that right?
You are spot on.
Cool, man.
I mean, if you were my mom will have you pronounce it again, but you got it. Awesome.
Hopefully she's listening and hopefully she doesn't mind. But man, I was just telling you before we hit record, it is 9:10 p.m. Eastern time. And I've been fast asleep for 2 hours at least by this point. But I'm so happy to be here. And I'll let you introduce yourself a little bit to the audience. And I'm sure quickly they'll understand why I'm so excited.
Sam Okunola. I am a father. I am a family man. I am a fitness enthusiast in that order. I've readjusted the way I introduce myself in the last few weeks, just because I think I was with Nick Bear. I mean, obviously, you and I are both familiar with him, and he was talking about the podcast it did with Steve Weatherford, and so some people's priority in IG bio doesn't really align with their priorities in life. I mean, my priority. I mean, I don't need to put it on IG, but I'm a family guy first. I love spending a lot of time with my family, and I'm a fitness guy second. I love everything fitness. I love everything that allows me to challenge myself, keep myself disciplined, accountable. I am, a normal, regular guy. I work a corporate job. I'm a coach, competitive bodybuilder, and all around, just trying to find my the strongest version of myself each day. So yeah, that's a brief introduction.
Yeah, and there's a lot more beneath the surface there, and we'll get to it. But I have to ask, so I think a lot of people would look at your social media, and I'll just use Instagram as an example. And, you've got the muscles, you've got the inspiration, you've got the content. I mean, the stuff you put out is high quality. I don't think many people would look at that and assume, oh, this guy's got a corporate job. But you do, and you do all of that. And first and foremost, you're a father and husband and family man. So how do you fit it all in? And what does your corporate job actually look like?
My corporate job looks like waking up in the morning, trying to get a run in as of late. That's my routine now. I'm trying to get a run in if it's planned. Sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't. You just got to roll with the punches, come back home, shower, help my wife, we all get the kids ready for daycare, hop in my car, drive to work, clock in like a normal person, beep, beep. We all walk in, get my computer, do one of these right here. During lunch break, oh my God, okay, time to get a workout in. Everybody follow me on Instagram, that time, 11:30 hits, you always see me mix my it's my routine, especially Monday through Friday. Go to gym, I have an hour 15, get my workout in, go back to work, leave work, come home, spend time with the family. If I did not get a run in the morning, and if my wife, so right now my wife's at the gym, well, I put the girls down, and if she's not into the gym or she's doing some other work, I go out for a run. If I didn't run in the morning, I go to bed, repeat. Uh, that's how it works. And the weekend, obviously, it's a little bit different. Weekend, I spend a decent amount of time doing client check-ins. So I'm also a coach. So yeah, that is if you had to describe a short day in the life, Monday through Friday, because weekends obviously it's a little bit different. That is what it looks like.
I thought I was busy until you just explained all of that. But Do you ever have those mornings maybe, or just those days where you wake up and you just don't feel like it and you're just like, just maybe I'll just sleep an extra hour and not do this run kind of thing?
Every single day. Again, I mean, for your viewers or listeners that are not familiar with me, if you, especially since my fitness journey, my background in fitness is bodybuilding,
Yeah.
aesthetics. You try to get shredded, you try to get big. It's not in the endurance space at all. Up until maybe, um, if you see what I looked like back in maybe in high school, like, oh, definitely, I was like soaking wet, 165 pounds. I mean, I played soccer. I mean, I mean, my tank was. My soccer coach back in high school used to tell me that, do you ever get tired? I'm like, I don't know, like. I don't know what that is. We joined the military. I ran a lot. I mean, obviously, you run a lot in the military. So my point is, I used to run a lot. Obviously, then bodybuilding, I got in the military, and I'm like, you know what? This is not something. Nick said it perfectly too. A lot of people that find running later in life, a lot of people typically find running later in life, and he give a lot of reference. Obviously, because he has a military background. Military is not really designed for you to love running.
Yeah.
It's designed for you to hate, or like it's a hard, like make it harder for you. So the last thing I want to do when I got out of the military was run. I
Yeah.
threw my rucksack away. I mean, I think it's in my mom's basement somewhere. Shoes, no. So up until about a year and a half ago, that's why I picked up running. And but to your point, just circle back to your point, like I still look at my shoes and I'm like, man, I still hit that snooze button, a few times. And circle back during the day. Like I said, if my wife has something to do, I'm like, you know what, I need to hit the pavement or something just to, get that, hardest part of the day done at some point in time. Ideally in the morning, because I know the feeling after. But you know, yeah, I still have I have it all the time, and it's easy for people to look at. Post your run, or yeah, 5 miles. Like, wow, this guy's crushing it. No, 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 no. I still question. I mean, the first few steps, I'm like, man, this is gonna suck. And then you get in, it's like, okay, not bad. Halfway through, this is good. Towards the end, I'm like, man, I don't know if I can make it. And you finish it, and everything just comes crushing down. Like it's a feeling you cannot describe. So, yeah, to your question, yes, all the time.
What gets you out the door on those days or every day when it's hard? Like why do you still choose to go?
Um, so I guess before I answer that question, I have to go back to why running in the first place, right? And so I picked up. I'll go a little bit further also. So from time in my wife's and I relationship, she is the runner of the relationship. I'm the quote unquote the lifter, the bodybuilder. And the running joke is a few times when we've done she's coerced me to like do a few 5Ks here and there. And after and I, again, of course, I mean, because we are very competitive. I write checks. My body cannot cash. Like I can like sub 8, like 5K, no big deal. Like by the way, I mean running, no, I don't do that. Even cardio for contest prep, it's like walking. But people look at you like, I know that dynamic. Is the runner, you the lifter, and like, but like, what gave it away? Me, like, punching over, just gasping for breath. That's what gave it away. So that is not something. I mean, so that's the dynamic between our relationship. And up until maybe like a year and a half ago, I had like my knee was just bothering me, and I couldn't train legs,
Yeah.
and I love training legs.
Me
It's
too.
just something about legs that it's hard. Um, it's I mean it's on any other body part. Like yeah, it's cool, but like no legs, no, no, no. It sucks. I think that's why I love it. So I couldn't do that. So I was just looking for something that is a little bit that hard thing to do.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, I mean, so the what happened to my knee, like in terms of just injury description, so to speak. I can extend my knee,
Mm-hmm.
but knee flexion is what I couldn't do. So obviously squat and things like that. So extension, that's what you do when you run.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, it's hard. So what's the alternative to hidden legs that I cannot do? Well, let's go for a couple of the first mile. Oh my God. Yeah, that was like 10-minute mile or something like that. It was crazy. And I stopped picking it up. So I'm like, you know what? I mean, and something I've always wanted to do with my wife is actually do a race together. We ended up doing a half together last year, and I'm like, okay. And I did the David Goggins challenge, just because I wanted something else to challenge myself. I'm like, that was fun, and just kept, doing it over and over again. So, to your question now of, what keeps me, or what keeps me coming back, is it's the hardest thing I can think about doing. And Casey, Casey Klein is another BPN. I mean, a beast
Oh yeah.
of nature. If you don't know who she is a specimen in terms of in the running space. All in general, badass. She keeps saying, like, doing, you never regret doing the hardest thing in the morning.
Yeah.
And I know the feeling. And I put myself in a situation where when I coach clients, and, like, when I don't have the motivation, like, what do you tell yourself? And I'm like, but what's on the other side. The feeling that you cannot describe as on the other side. So hold on to that feeling, and like, it's not like I'm gonna finish this work. I'm like, man, what a waste of time. What that feeling, something you
Yeah.
can ride, for like a whole day. So that's what typically gets me, over that hump of, like, not hitting the snooze button, or, it's not, maybe another time.
Yeah. When I played a year of college football, and our coach said this phrase, the legs feed the wolf. And at the time, I did not understand. But over the years, I've really come to love it. And it really just boils down to, just because a wolf is a wolf, just because it holds that title, doesn't mean it gets to eat. The legs feed the wolf. The wolf has to hunt.
Yeah.
And I feel like every single day when we do those hard things, that's our version of hunting, right? The legs feed the wolf.
Yep.
So Sam, this podcast is all about hard things. We've already touched on it, but I've got two main questions that are a 1-2 combo to start the podcast. I think in life there are two kinds of hard. There's the hard we choose and the hard that chooses us. So we're going to start with the latter. What is the hardest thing that you've ever had to handle in life? So a circumstance that you didn't get to choose, but that you had to handle.
Um, to date, the hardest thing that I can, it's easy. I mean, is losing my dad. At April 2010, losing my dad. Every every kid you look up to, your dad being, I mean, that's your hero. My dad, and if I want to emulate anybody, if there's any inspiration in life, that's my dad. A family guy, all of our family. I mean, work multiple. I feel like if you work multiple jobs, just to make sure the family has everything to do. So losing him was definitely, it's almost like, holy crap. Like, I remember vividly getting a call. I remember, detail. So that was absolutely the hard that I did not, choose. So getting over that, went through some hard times, but again, I mean, it's a process. Even change. I mean, even 12 years later, it's still something that still a little bit raw. At times, obviously, when you get older, you get married, you have kids, you wish what could have happened. You miss certain aspects. Man, it would be a great grandfather, things like that. So that's definitely probably the hardest thing that I've ever had to deal with in life, that I would never choose a million years, especially at the age that it passed. So that was definitely one of the hardest things I have to go
Yeah, absolutely. I appreciate you sharing that. And I think a lot of times it's easy for people to say the cliche phrases, everything happens for a reason, or, find the silver
through.
lining,
Yeah,
or those things. And
yeah.
I think it's easy to say those things. But when you look back at the past 12 years, does any of that ring true for you in your experience with losing your father? I mean, did anything positive come out of that experience for you? Not that the overall experience was positive, but did anything come out of it that was valuable?
I mean, when you lose, I mean, it's not a fun experience to lose anyone. And once, I mean, it's raw. But after a while, you tend to find a way to deal with it. And I think, especially if you have, I mean, if you have a good relationship with that person, you don't want that, losing that person to overshadow your entire life's experience. Like,
Mhm.
but, and the only way for you to um, honor the memory or something good coming out of that is just by to be the best version of that person, of your dad, your hero that you look up to, or let that shine through. And that's the only positive, thing that I could think of that could come, or to do a lot of things. I mean, what would your dad do? Like, or go through life, and you want to make certain decisions, and you just like, a few advices, a few gems I drop in throughout, kind of just like, I'm sure you'll say things like that. One of the things that I really remember, or that he always tells me, is like, hey, when you want to ask him like, hey dad, can I get like $10? It's like, okay, for whatever. It's like, do you want it or do you need it? And I'm like, okay. I mean, I want it. I don't need it. So I think again now, I mean, it's something I try to think about on a daily basis. I've been prudent, been financially responsible, or just in general, like, do you want it or do you need it? If you can justify both, I think you can pull like, a straight line. But yeah, I mean, definitely, the most positive thing is just, okay, the lessons that you learned, from him, just by not necessarily what he taught you, or he never really like said that, like, okay, this is how you do this. No, by watching alone,
Mm.
as a kid, I remember, I mean, junior year in high school, I used to wake up, 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning. So I used to, he was a psychiatric nurse, and he used to like wake up for like the early shift. I used to wake up, make oatmeal and eggs. I hated oatmeal at the time, but think about it, I love oatmeal now. Go figure. And so I used to make that pack as like food for him in the morning, and I used to, things like that. So watching him, and he comes home at night, and after like finishing the shift, and I used to work for this company called Nurse Finders, and they get him a call, hey, we do have an opening for you at 9. It's like, okay, quick nap, out the door again, and it was never really at my football game. I mean, my soccer games, and I think lucky for me at the time, I didn't really look down on it. So it's like, my dad is never at my game. No, like, for some reason I didn't really care if he was at my game or not, but because maybe I understood, and you have to understand the background that I came from too. I'm first generation American. I'm Nigerian, and and I mean, it's in that alone, the background and that I grew up in, didn't really give me the opportunity to, or the avenue to, like, man, my dad is never my game. Like, no, I understood the assignment. So as the kids would say, he's a hardworking man. He was right for his family, and I enjoyed playing soccer. I didn't do it to like get his,
Mm.
approval. I did it just because something I had fun doing. So, but yeah, a long-winded answer to just like, yes, that was definitely a hard thing that I did not choose. And I mean, the only positive that came out of that is just, trying to let his memory live on through my actions, and the person that I am, because I learned from somebody I truly love and emulate. So
It's really cool to hear how much you learned from your dad through his actions and how he lived. And I think it's just a really cool reminder for even anybody listening to this podcast that even the smallest things that we do in private and in public, they go on to impact people in ways that we might never know. There's this great quote. I'm gonna I don't remember the whole thing, but part of it is a river knows places that its source never knows. And so if you think of just your actions as that source of water, it just trickles out in all these different directions, and reaches people that sometimes we never even know it reaches. So with that being said, I would imagine another really hard thing in life is being a dad. Tell me a little bit about that, and like what's challenging about being a dad, and yeah, tell me about it.
right. I am a dad of two beautiful, uh, very energetic girls. Three. I mean, I have two kids, two girls under 3. Being a dad, I mean, there is no you can read all the books in the world. Like, I mean, again, they fly out the door. You can watch all the videos that you want. They fly out the door because you don't know what you're gonna do, or how you're gonna react in certain, instances. And my daughter's getting to the age, and she's gonna be 3 next week, and she's getting to that age where personality is just. I mean, like today, for instance, I'm recording videos, and she just emulating like her teacher. It's like, okay, listen to me, listen to me, listen to me. And she was doing this, like, listen to me, listen to your teachers, okay? I'm gonna count from 1, 2, 3, and you're gonna run over there. Like my wife and I were just like, okay, I'm sorry. I was looking at my wife, well, you in trouble? Like, things, just watching things like that. But to your question though, being that nothing really prepares you for that, and you try to figure, okay, I mean, the way I was raised, like I said, first generation American, and I'm Nigerian. I was very, I mean, not, I was very strict in a way. I mean, there's a saying in like a Nigerian community, there's only four or three acceptable jobs in like a Nigerian household that we can go to school for. It's either an engineer, an accountant, a lawyer, or a doctor.
Mm.
Outside of that four, you're a failure. Like it's one of those things that I can never tell your parents like you don't want to go to college. Like, oh, they will have literally like a whole family meeting, like extended family, aunties will come over. So you don't want to go to college, huh? Are you okay? Do we need to check you in as like a mental institution or something like that? Or oh, do you mean not go to college? So having that, that sort of strict but still kind of free-ish, a raising, upbringing, obviously having girls, I mean, you want to bring a little bit of blend of that, a little bit of blend of the way that your personality, the way they are as a person. You kind of want to blend that together. And so it's a learn as you go to present its challenges because the challenges, yes, not so much just because, again, they're still at that young age. I'm sure, the older they get, the more mature they get, the more they see the world. The challenges is going to keep building up. But luckily for me, I have a, I have a strong wife a strong partner because that's who she is. It's not just my wife that we do this together, right? It's not. I mean, I think the biggest challenge for me is, I mean, I didn't realize how much patience. I'm sure I think every father will agree to this. That I mean, you think you have patience. No, no, no. Kids will test your patience. So I mean, having that patience will be like, you cannot say that. You cannot say that. And to the point, I think you brought a point up earlier that you don't know what kind of impact her action is. And I know she's literally just repeating things I'm doing. She's mannerisms. Even to my youngest daughter, that's going to be 2 in November. She is starting to like say things and pick up things. So you want to like almost like, oh no no no, I gotta be a certain way. I gotta carry myself a certain way
Mm.
to make sure he has a good sort of an example or role model to look at. So lots of challenges, but right now, it's fun. We at that fun stage. There's no terrible twos yet. I mean, again, I think we just often have total two different people. I don't mind the crying. She's like, no, I cannot do the crying. I'm like, it's okay. As long as you're not hurting, we're fine. So, but no, it's very challenging. But every day is fun, but definitely fun doing it with like a partner that you both get to do it together and kind of just balance things off each other.
Yeah, yeah, that's really cool. Well, to transition then, Sam, the next question is, what is the hardest thing that you've ever done on purpose, and why have you done that thing? I'm sure parenthood could probably fall into that category, but let's
Yeah.
exclude parenthood since we just spoke about it. Maybe this is a physical endeavor for you, because I have to say, for anybody who doesn't know who you are or doesn't follow you currently on social media, you aesthetically look like you have put thousands and thousands and thousands of hours into the gym. So I'm sure there's got to be something hard in there, but what's the hardest thing you've done on purpose?
Joe, um, if you look at me and you, oh yeah, that guy's Devin. Yes, I have put in a lot of work in. Or I think it will again. I think it was just background into like the fitness space, right? Background into my fitness space, meaning the um, I was in the military for 6 years. I got out of the military. I didn't want to run. I'm like, fuck running. Like, never again. Went to college. When I went to college, I was just working out in the gym, and one of my KMP teacher, which is like a kinesiology or physical education like class, was like, I mean, I was not big. I think I was like 180 at a time, something like that. I was like, you look like you got a pretty decent physique. I'm like, oh, cool, thank you. Like, you should do this like show called Greek Physique. It's sort of like a charity, like a fraternity kind of hosted it. I'm like, I don't know, like a bunch of dudes like half naked on stage. I don't know about that. You know, here we are years later. I've done like 20 something shows. By the time like I don't know, but I'm like, I got nothing to lose. So, and luckily for me, I was a victim of my environment, victim in a good sense. The environment that I was that just happened to casually fall into is like a bunch of dudes that just love to work out for fun. Just it's just the rec center was just like it's a social hour. Man. Everybody's lifting, having a good time. There was no phones, no Instagram, there was no nothing. I just aged myself there too, by the way. And and so I mean. that was so it wasn't like it was not something I did because it was hard. It was something I did because it was fun. And on top of that, and I got ready for that show, and I'm like, wait, so you're telling me I can dedicate 12, 16 weeks and I can have this control, I can shape and morph my body
Mm.
into whatever I want to be. If I want to get big arms, I want to get big legs, okay, I have to do this amount of work, this amount of training session, I have to eat this amount of food and X, Y, and Z. And like, no, 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 let's go. Like, that's that. And even though the dieting aspect or concept script, I coach clients. 60% of my clients I work with are concept script, quote unquote athlete. I mean, that's another competition. It's not a sport. It's a beauty pageant. Anyways, I'm sure I'll get a lot of flack for that that I like I normally do on Instagram. Anyways, like that, doing that alone like was not hard because it's something that I wanted to do. It's a quote unquote struggle that I put on myself.
Mhm.
So clients that I work with, yes, it's you're not trying to get beach body ready. Like I mean, you're trying to get in a place where it's not necessarily healthy for your body to be in. So to some people it might be hard, but to me it's almost like no, I want to do this. I
Mhm.
decided, I'm gonna quote unquote control starvation myself so I can look a certain way. So to me, oh man, this so hard. I'm like, anybody forcing you? You can literally go grab a pizza right now and just like, no, I'm done. I just like it better. It's not that hard. So transitioning, fast forwarding into like last year, right? And doing and start picking up running. I literally I'm still running because it is the hardest thing for me to do. Like it is, I am 217 pounds for this morning. It is not Nick Barry, like people know, follow. You might see him running. I think he posted like a video of him running like I think his first marathon was like 4 hours or some strange number, a crazy number, and
Yeah.
he just did like a sub 250 like not so long ago. And you can see the body transformation too from a bigger dude to a small dude. It's just not the greatest thing for your joints. And luckily, I think lately I've been finding like a lot of other bigger dudes that just like running now, which is the coolest. It's almost like a shared suffering. Like, yeah, bro, for the big dudes. And so to your point, um, running is the hardest thing. And then talking about feet, I just out of the blue last year of this early this year, and I'm like, just casually I forgot what who was I talking to? My wife. No, 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 I think I was talking about Tony. So I was talking to somebody. I'm like, David Goggins 444, run 4 miles every 4 hours for 48 hours. Like, I can do that. No, 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 not like casually I can do that. I'm like fuck, that's hard. I'm like, huh. But again, it's like dive in, like figure it out as you go, right? And that, I mean, definitely was at the time. That's like probably one of the hardest. I mean, I did a half marathon. I think. I mean, I did was good. It was good. It wasn't like the suck or the the hard that I was looking for. I mean, I felt
Mhm.
good. I mean, I trained up for it. It wasn't like I didn't show up and just run 13 miles. So that was good. David Goggins is not really necessarily like training. I mean, yes, you want to run quite a bit to get to that point, but the non-sleeping part and that was the hardest part. So that physically, there's a physical challenge. That was the hardest thing. Yes, I've competed I mean, multiple shows. Those are not hard
Hmm.
because again, I've done it many times and I kind of know what to expect. So it's not, I know the process.
Mhm.
It's not like, oh, this is the new thing. Running is almost like it's a new challenge for me, and that's why I love it. I think that's why I get a lot of reward from it because there's something hard that I'm doing. And so, I mean, again, which again, as far as doing something hard, but to continue to do something hard after that challenge was over. And if I'm being honest with you, so I did a video on YouTube, kind of just wrapping the whole process up to and like vlogging the whole entire process. Um, and there's a clip and it's spontaneous at the end of it at 4 for 48. I went to this track. I finished like my last leg, and my buddy Max was recording. So, ooh, like it was getting it was in March. And we just had a snowstorm previous week before that. And I'm like, oh, cool. Okay, awesome. Like while I was running, I'm like, the last leg, I'm like, I will miss this feeling when it's over.
Mm.
Like I try to, I got chills just thinking about that right now. Like I will miss this feeling when it's over. And I kind of want to let that suck feeling to go a little longer because I know like just like that it'll be gone. I'm like, oh, okay, cool, that was fun. Like that's it. But while I was going on to the point, like, after 440, after the 40th mile, I mean, the 40th mile, I'm like, I kind of want to keep going. So I did like another 3 miles after that because I just wanted to, like, I'm like, and it's, if I've been honest with you, after that, I told myself, I'm like, it sucked while you were in it, but at the end of it, it's just, it wasn't as bad as I thought it was gonna be. Yes, sleep deprivation a little bit, but it, to the point where like the last 24 hours, I didn't really. I mean, the last few hours, I didn't go to bed because the hardest part was just like you mentally up, your body's just like kind of like I want to sleep. So it's like kind of the first mile was the hardest part, but just like no, one feet after the other. It's
Yeah.
gonna, it's gonna. But to long-winded answer for the hardest thing that was definitely at the time the hardest thing physically that I've done, just because it's a new challenge, a new
Yeah.
experience. It's running, it's lack of sleep, and it's, I mean, yeah, that was not to downplay vitamins. It is extremely tough, but while you're in it, it's almost like in a storm, right? While you're in it,
Yeah.
it's like, man, I can see left, I can see right. But when it's like all said and done, oh, I can do that again. No, I didn't want to do that again. But you get the feeling.
Well, let me ask you this, because it sounds like you, in maybe a sick, twisted way that I can very much understand, and I think people listening to this kind of podcast can understand, you enjoy the suck, right? There's something about struggle that is appealing in some way. What is it
Yes,
about that you actually like?
I I cannot pinpoint it, and I think again the reference of everything. I mean, once if you tell Nick, for instance, or David Goggins, or the Cameron Haynes, or the reference that I use for people is I can say, Joe, man, dude, the way you brush your teeth, man, that is so fucking impressive. And you're like, isn't that like a normal thing? Like, don't you do that every morning? Like, or before you go to bed? Like, it's like, yeah, yeah. So why was so impressive? Somebody that's running, it's a normalcy to you, right?
Mm,
So for me, working out, training, lifting weight, it's normal. Yeah, it's challenging. You have a build up in, like the week 5, like, I call it RP, call Jesus. That's what I freaking look forward to. I'm like, yeah, you call Jesus, just like, nah, son, I'm not at home. Try back another time. And that is what I love. Yes, I mean, I still pay attention to like the build up to that. But my point is, um, that is easy for me. Like that is like it's not, yes, if I don't train something, I feel something is off, something is missing, like like on a consistent amount of days. But at some point in time, I'm just looking for something else. I'm looking for another challenge. Like I just don't want to be, the monotony. It's just and I think I was telling Zach. Zach was like as a prior ambassador for BPN. I was talking to Zach, and one thing I shared with Zach was uh, that it's the newness. It's being a newbie at something.
mm,
Being I mean, like I'm being a student again. Like, bro, like I was texting me and telling my bro, like like giving it tips. I'm still learning too. So I think it's just like the hardship of it, the struggle of just doing running.
yeah.
Like I used to tell my wife, I'm like, who wants to? Like, what do you think about when you run for an hour? Like what? And I actually look forward to that because it's almost like, I mean, I've had the euphoric experience of running once, and I'm like, oh, this that one time, and it's like this is what it's talking about. It's almost like a flow state.
Yeah.
I can vividly remember it was in Central Illinois, in my in-laws' house. Live in Central, middle of nowhere, and they got this windmills all over the place. Got it. I mean, it's almost like seeing out of the movie, like the
Mhm.
only person on earth, nobody else existed. You're in the middle of nowhere, just like, and the only thing you can hear is just like the sound of your feet, just like in the gravel. And it was just, I was so in. I'm like, this is it. And like, if I can bottle that up and just like take a little quick drink in the morning, man, it'll be great. But it's not that easy. You have to like seek and find that. And I think that's the quest there. That's the challenge. That's the hardship there that I think
Yeah.
lifting doesn't really, still gives me that, but it doesn't really provide. It's brush my teeth in the morning. It's not,
Yeah.
whoa, what's going on there? So
Yeah. Outside of that newness, though, I'm going to ask a question and then hopefully give an example that people can picture.
yeah.
What's your max bench right now?
Um, funny enough, I have not maxed any movement in a long time, just because the training style that I do is
Yeah.
more hypertrophic. If you
Well,
but I
let's
mean,
just say, hypothetically,
hypothetically speaking, it's 4 or 5, or I'm sure I can manage 4 or 5.
First of all, that's wild. And second of all, I think where I'm going with here is at one point, 135, right? We probably have to rewind a long time for you. 135 was hard at a certain time. And then
I got crushed by 135 at PE class in high school.
there you go, right? And then 225 was hard at some point. And
Yep.
then 315 was hard at some point. And now you
Yep.
struggle at that 405 mark. And I think the beautiful thing about anything where we push ourselves in life, outside of the newness, right? Even in the gym, where you've been in the gym for a long time now, you can always find that struggle by continuing on, by continuing to push. And
Absolutely.
that's what I love about fitness, because I think it's such a great metaphor for life. And when things get hard in the gym, that's where you're getting strong. And when things get hard in life, man, that's where you get strong.
You. I mean, I think that's so. One thing I've been trying to do lately is not. I don't want to force anybody to fitness, right? I think I was just having a conversation with somebody that like it might be hard for us to believe. You can might look at somebody that's not quote unquote fit, like they genuinely might just be happy the way they look.
Mhm.
So obviously, because I'm in a bubble of like a fitness space, I'm like, I mean, like, how can you live like that? Like, you just
Yeah.
don't know what you're missing. I just want to show you, like, right? But I think it's just hard for people to like generally like believe or feel like somebody generally can just be happy, and if they can only understand what fitness, whatever your fitness is, what it does for you. Give me a scenario. Paint me. I can give you a perfect example in fit. I mean, a correlation to fitness. I don't care what it is. There is an example for it. So the correlation to fitness and life is it's. I mean, so if you can find the struggle, overcome struggle, that's why most people that are successful, they have some sort of element of fitness that they that they it's part of the routine, part of the lifestyle, something they just thrive on. And if they don't do that, they feel like something is just missing. So I mean, I'm you hit that. I'm like, yep, I told 1,000% agree with you. Like, find me a life situation, I'll find you a fitness situation that mirrors that to a T.
And you know what else I love about fitness? It's not like you get to where you are. We'll just use you for an example, and you plant the flag, you throw your hands up and you say, I'm here. That's it. If you don't go to the gym for the next year, Sam, you don't look like you look. You can't perform like you perform. It doesn't end.
Continuous improvement.
Yeah.
Continuous with the job is never done. It's I mean it's like, man, I'm at the beach now, grabbing some couple margaritas, kick my feet up. I got the beach body that I want, job here is done, see you in 60 years or whatever. No, like, again, because I mean that's I don't care. I know it's hard for somebody listening that's never been to curl out to understand that.
Yeah.
And it's almost one of those things like, going to like a bodybuilding experience or running, for instance. Like when somebody, I mean, you first, like, marathon or whatever,
Mhm.
the longest like distance you ever did or continue to do. And somebody asks you, why are you doing that? It's just hard for you to explain it to people
Yeah.
unless you experience it of yourself.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. Like, I don't know how
Yeah.
to explain it. But once you get there, I promise you, like, you and I would
Yeah.
speak the same language without even talking. Like,
Yeah.
oh, you just like, that's it. That nothing needs to be said. You just know,
Yeah.
like, yeah, yeah. We right here. So
Yeah. And I'm sure you've been in the gym at like 4 or 5 in the morning throughout your life at various points. If you go to a gym consistently at 4 or 5 in the morning and you look around at the other people there, I could almost guarantee I would be willing to place a lot of money on the fact that those people are really successful at the other things that they're doing in life.
absolutely, and I think that's one of the things again I love about in the contest prep side of things. And I thought I was the only one until I started asking other people like are in the contest prep or physique space, because you have to cross your T's, dot your I. You have to there's a lot of tasks you need to get done for you to be at your at your peak. So you're forced almost to get those things done to get to the point where yeah, you be successful. And if that so while you I mean going after this challenge, but other parts of your life, or professionally, whatever, it's growing too,
Mhm.
because you have an element of discipline that just
Yeah.
somehow just crosses over to other aspects. So no, you're absolutely correct. And I'm like, am I the only one? Do you just feel like, I mean, things are just like, dress right, dress. Like, no, I know. I thought I was the only one. I'm like, no, 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 you're not. Like, I mean, to your point, you are absolutely positively correct.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate that. I'm glad you agree. Now, to shift gears just a little bit, this question's super simple, but when you hear the word endurance, what does that mean to you?
I will have to break it down. Well, I will ask you what we're referring to in the fitness space, in life, uh, enduring a life is, having a hard time, going through a hard, tough time, and just, knowing moments don't last, or one step at a time. Or we're talking about fitness, where in the endurance phase, it's about the challenge that comes with it. Or, you don't, run 1 mile the first day and be like, oh yeah, I killed that. But, you have to build and build and build to create, quote unquote, your fitness, right? So, I mean, endurance in life. I love the way my brain functions. Um, and I think I was listening to, not think, I was listening to the podcast with Nick Bear. I keep referencing Nick Bear. Um, I don't know. You guys working on some guy. What can I say? The Bear Performance podcast with Chad Wright. I was listening to that. And he was just talking, the one they did with, um, speaking of endurance, I was thinking Endure, the book
Mhm.
by
Cam Haynes.
campaigns. Yes. Just talking about, endurance in life, or, to endure things in life, you need to have, three principles, right? I think, if you, I'm not sure you listen to the chat,
Mhm.
chat right one, talking about having patience, be present, and I believe discipline, PPD, and discipline. So, and while going through life, I mean, endurance is challenging, right? I mean, for you to endure something that's very challenging in life, you need to have those three things in place so you won't deviate, so that challenge will not crush you.
Mm.
So for you not to get crushed, to endure those hardships, you need to have those three things. And yes, it's easier said than done, of course. It's something that almost, you have to do a lot of dress rehearsal to get to the point where, like, yeah, I know what this feels like. I can endure this
Yeah.
because I had other challenges, and I know by doing one, two, three, I know it's not easy, but at least gives me the opportunity, chance to be able to survive this hardship. So I mean, that's a woven way that, I kind of think about it. And just like, again, I'm sure I can give you instances like, in a block or training block or contest prep, or run that I'm trying to, be in the moment, or, live in the suck, I would say. I endure, the 48 hours of, like, and knowing, okay, this is not going to be hard, and I don't want to think about 48 hours. I want to
Yeah.
think about the next, hour. That I just want to make it through the next hour. So I mean, it's and I think we all go through some sort of a hardship,
Mhm.
in life. I mean, it's either you have, you endure, you get crumbled sometimes. What do you do to get out of that, that crumbled state, to rise from the ashes, as they say. So, yeah.
Yeah. And I think too, there's an important point there that endurance maybe isn't just passively waiting for something to move past you. Like it's not sitting in the storm and just waiting for the storm to completely pass. There's this great saying, I forget who said it though. Resilience is endurance with direction. And I
Yep.
think knowing generally what direction you want to go in and then being persistent in trying to move in that direction even when the storm is right above you and you don't know what's up, what's down, what's left, what's right. It's trying to get your bearings and continue to move in the direction you want to go. And it's really cool to hear your take on it. And again, how integrated fitness is just into everything that we do in life and how transferable that skill is. But with that being said, Sam, everybody is struggling with something. A lot of times we can't see what that struggle is. And so for this last question of the podcast, I want you to imagine that you are speaking directly to somebody who has their headphones in their ears. They're going to hear your voice in a sec. So this person might be going through a really tough time, a hard season. They're facing some kind of adversity and they're just not sure what to do. What would you say to that person?
I would love to hit you with some epic, cue the music. If I did it, everything's like it going like, oh my God, I'm just gonna get, I think force, I mean, first and foremost, I think what most people that struggle a lot of times is the isolation, right? You think you're the only one suffering alone. And I think again, back in the group, the VPN ambassador group that Unite used to be on, and I think one of the things that I think we talked about a lot of times is uh, there is a shared bond in suffering, right?
Mhm.
When you know somebody is not, okay, when you know somebody is going through the same hardship that it's going through, it's almost makes you feel like, whew, like I'm not alone. So whatever struggle that you're going through, know first and foremost, it's not an isolated, incident. You're not the only one that's just going through that, tough time. There are other people that are going through the tough time. I know we're living in a social media age that, people show you the highlight reel. And I made a post the other day talking about, oh, just seeing the highlight reel. Like, no, people would go through stuff. Even though people that you think they got their shit together, we all go through challenges. We just don't want to put our business out in the street like that. So and people that are vulnerable enough to share that, yes, they're helping other people out. Tony, good friend of mine, somebody that, does a very good job in sharing some of his woes, some of his challenges, with the world. And, and I try my best to do that in terms of like fitness space. Like, no, like, you don't be like, oh yeah, just go out, sort of fitness guy. Like you just crush 5 miles. No. I still struggle with like putting my shoes on in the morning. I stare at that shoe. I mean, the pair of shoes. I think David Goggins said that. Like, no. You think David Goggins, one of the hardest dudes out there, it's telling you that no, I still stare at my shoes for like hours before I decide I want to put it on and get out there and actually hit the pavement. But so the point is, first one is you're not alone. And I think again, I was listening to I will keep referencing the BPD, and I think I was gonna put something about it this morning, but I just got caught up doing something else, getting kind of ready. And just using that standard alone, using that, be present, be patient, and be disciplined. Be present enough to know that, okay, I'm not alone. It's not an isolated incident. There are other people out there that are, they're suffering or they have this same, this type. Because once you know that, it kind of, brings the okay, I'm not. It's not as bad, So be present. I mean, present. Have the presence of mind to know that you're not alone, and obviously be patient. Be patient, knowing okay, this too shall pass. It doesn't last for a long time. But while you have patience, obviously you want to put your, keep moving, one step at a time. Whatever it is, whatever that challenge is that you're struggling with. If it's I don't know, BCD, if, you just in the fitness space, you're trying to lose that body fat, just slowly don't go, you don't find somebody to just wake up in the morning and I've never ran before, go run a marathon the first day. No, if you want to go run half a mile, hell, it's challenging. So it's one step at a time. And the last part is just, I mean, the discipline aspect. The discipline to understand that you're not alone, the discipline to have the patience and not just want to do something that you should be doing
Mm.
that's just going to put you back into that square one. So that's if you use those three sort of pillars, which are not mine, which I mean, which thanks to Chad Rye that shared that information that I think is very profound that a lot of people can definitely learn from. I think that would typically kind of just give you like a guide to
Mm.
be in the right place. And I think another thing that it's easy to have a shitty attitude during that process too, right?
Yeah.
A shitty attitude, look at other people like, oh, must be nice. And again, I'm gonna start. I mean, starting a series called like a spot check Monday,
Mm.
or or whatever day it is. It's just like kind of again. Most of the time when I do stories on Instagram, it's almost like a conversation with myself. Like it's not just like, oh, I'm just one pointing the finger. Like no, I too struggle. And a spot check, looking at somebody that might be doing better than you or that looks like they're not struggling and stuff, and you say must be nice, but you don't know they have their own struggles.
Yeah.
So once you change your perspective, you change your point of view, it can instantly, change the way you look at something that you're struggling with and look at it as an opportunity or a challenge that you're willing to take on.
Mm.
So that's the long-winded, point I can give you. Of course, it's not easy, bulletin board, material, Instagram reels, motivation and everything. Like, yeah, I'm going to get to gets you fired up in the next 15 seconds, and like, okay, now what?
Mm-hmm.
It's all cool, but have those sort of structure in place. Like, even though when you fall and you do struggle with things in life, you have those,
Yeah.
whatever that thing is for you to fall back on and just keep you on a narrow pace. And one thing that's helped me in my sort of compass is, and I think it helps me with just not, being too all over the place, is just, what can I control?
Yeah.
Like, if it's not something I can control, I physically cannot control, I I'm not gonna. It's hard for me to stress about it, because me stressing about something that literally is out of my control, it to me it's sanity. Like, and which again, I understand a lot of people are not wired that way, and that's okay. And looking at things and like, why, what's wrong? Why are you concerned about that? Like, are you going to change the weather? No. Are you going to change that person's opinion about you? No. So the only thing you can do is literally what you can physically do. So focus on that. Because every other thing is just distraction, right? So yeah, that's what I would tell somebody. Just have that, whatever that pillar is. You can use those three pillars, because again, that will never steer you wrong. And just know that whatever you're struggling with, you're not alone, man. Oh, ma'am, or sir, lady, gents, you're not alone. We all struggle. We all, fall. We all find ways to get back down and get back up again. It's not going to be easy, but you know, one step at a time. One step at a time. Some days, you might go back, like 20 steps back, but just trying to strive to keep moving forward.
So well said, Sam. I really appreciate that, man. With that being said, if people want to follow along with you on social media, if they want to see what you're all about, where's the best place for them to do that?
You can follow me on Instagram. Luckily, I have persons of mine enough to just use my name. Sam Okunola is very simple. On YouTube, Sam Okifit, which again, the last few years I've been very deliberate. We've been consistent on YouTube, so my YouTube is not. It's not going to be entertaining. It's straight information that you need. I enjoy videography. I love the creating videos and things like that. Obviously, you probably see my Instagram, you probably can get that sense. But I think the core of everything else is just about the value, or the value that you are going to get that's going to help you. And just to give you like a little more insight into what I do in my fitness journey too, that's gotten me to where I am. And most of the YouTube video content I put out is content that clients deal with, clients struggle with, questions I get from DMs. Because I feel like with one client struggling with that, surely at least two other people out there are struggling with the same thing. So that's my content on YouTube. Yeah, but I try to stay as consistent as possible. But those are two main places you can definitely find me.
Well, Sam, I appreciate your time. I appreciate everything that you're about, and I appreciate you. So thank you so much for this. It meant a lot.
No, thank you for staying up past your bedtime. So
anytime, man.
Absolutely.
If you enjoyed this episode of the Project Indoor podcast, go ahead and subscribe, leave a review on your platform of choice, and share this episode with a friend. It helps us get more conversations like this out to more people like you. We appreciate you, and we'll talk to you next time. And one more thing. If you're looking for a community of people all striving to be better together, check out the Project Indoor Hard Things Club. The link is in the description below. We'd love to have you.